how close have Republicans, Democrats, and President Trump come to a compromise?
Well, we were able to narrow down on the issues that we need to address: DACA, border security, some sort of change to chain migration, and the diversity visa. The long-term immigration reform that a lot of Republicans want to deal with, that's a separate thing. That's a phase 2. But let's narrow it down to this area. We're supposed to go back and sit down again and work something out. So we're waiting so we can all get together one more time and try to work this out. But I feel optimistic. Will it be difficult? Yes. Is it possible? Yes, it would be.
So, Representatives, walk me through 3 alternatives. One is that DACA and the wall, if there is one, is tied to funding the government. Another is we deal separately with those 2 things. And yet a third is what you suggested, a fundamental overhaul of immigration. Because we have your colleague, Dave Bratt, on yesterday, who said he wants an overhaul before he even deals with DACA.
No, I think we need to do DACA as a narrow issue of immigration reform. Immigration reform will cover things like guest worker plans and other issues, but the narrow issue of DACA is one thing. Now, some Democrats want to see just a clean bill with DACA and no border security and nothing else. Quite honestly, that's not going to happen. Practically, it's not going to happen. We can do DACA. We can do some sort of border security. The question comes up, what do we mean by border security? Does it include a wall? Do you equate a wall to border security? And unfortunately, the president at times and some Republicans equate it. To me, I want to see border security. I live on the border. I understand the border, and I know what works on the border. A wall is a 14th century solution to a 21st century issue that we're looking at.
President Trump seems to be backing down a little bit on that issue himself. He said that he needn't be a 2,000-mile wall. So what do you think a physical wall would end up looking like at this point?
You know, we certainly can look at fixing and repairing. The walls have been there. Some of those fences have been there since 1992, so we can work and repair that. There's a thing that we call down in South Texas that we agreed under the Bush administration to do a levee wall. That is, you build a wall of cement and put a fence on it. So therefore, you have a dual purpose. You provide flood control from flooding, and then you also have security. So there are smart ways of addressing this issue, but just to build a fence or a wall just for the sake of it, because you want to keep a campaign promise, I don't think that's the most cost-effective ways of using taxpayers' dollars.
So, Representatives, let's talk about the cost for a second. Whether it's a physical wall or it's a virtual wall, whatever it is, ends up being, how much are Democrats willing to pay for it? Because the president, I think, has put out a number there of like $18 billion for what he wants.
Well, the president's talking about $18 billion for a wall or a fence. Let's look at the cost. The cost of 1 mile of technology, which I support, will be about $1 million per mile. 1 mile of a wall, the way the president wants it, will be over $21 million. Now, what does the $21 million per mile buy you? If you look at the latest GAO report, they studied the wall, and they found over a 5-year period, over 9,300 times people were able to get over that wall. Now, most importantly, I want you to listen to this. I asked the current Border Patrol chief and the past Border Patrol chiefs this question: how much time does a wall buy you? You know what they said? A couple minutes or maybe even a couple seconds. So if you're going to slow somebody down for a couple minutes, you know, and spend billions of dollars, I think we need to be smarter. Look at what the military does in Afghanistan and Iraq. They use aerostats, they use cameras, sensors, drones to secure the area, their bases. So we got to look at what's been tested, what works, and if it works for the military, it can work for us on the border.